Okay, I think I'll do it in English. Are there any English speakers left here? Yes. Okay, I'll stay. I'll do it in English. So thanks for staying. It's the last part of the session. So I'll try to keep you interested. Okay, I'll start with just putting the one of the largest Norwegian drones. Just has a smaller Norwegian family from our company on top there. So we'll start there. So I'll talk about how we operate in Europe, how our success is coming to us, and it's a bumpy road. So I'll come back to that. But in reality, some of you could be disappointed about what I'm going to talk about. I'm not going to talk a lot about technology. Just some brief words about who we are as a company. We are one of the leading European drone providers. We started in 2014, and today we are 26 employees. We have our main office in Sandnes, just outside Stavanger, and we have an office here at Fornebu, or Oslo, as we like to call it, on the west coast of Norway, even though we know it's not Oslo. Oslo is very big for us. And then we have a guy based in Frankfurt as well, in Germany. This year we will have a revenue of 3.5 million euros, which is an extremely small number in the big scale of things. So working in the European market, it's a very, very small number. But in our industry, there are very few that has a revenue. The reality is we can go back to yesterday. We can't build a business without having revenues. We need to make money, but before you make money, you need to start invoicing. And if we can't invoice, this industry will completely die, and that's a very important point. 50% of our revenues are environmental data. So it's data that is collected to enhance our knowledge about something with the environment. And we are ISO 9001 certified operator, which is a very important thing. So why have we got huge European contracts? If you go to any other industry to be ISO 9001 certified, it's obvious. It's very obvious. You need to have a quality system. So why are there so few that is doing this in Norway and in other countries across Europe? It's very easy to invest money into technology, but you need to invest money into your company as well. And that's a big difference. We have flight permits in 9 European countries, as you can see. So bring up your mobile phones. Mobile phones up, come on, bring them up. So we're going to do a survey so we can see a bit on how you think about us. So go into meti.com and push in the code. You guys watching from home, I guess you can do the same thing. So do bring up your phones and start voting. So what kind of, describe your organization. Are you local, regional, national, international, or global? How do you define yourselves? So we should get the result up here now. Yes, now we go. Come on, speed up. Speed up. Come on. Okay, so we see there's a lot of the people defining themselves as national, then international, then regional, local, very few global. We see this changing. For us, our market is Europe. It's these days, it's actually 25 years since Norway became a member of the internal market of Europe. We pay to have access to that market. That's our market. Norway is 2.5% of the market. So why do you want to play with 2.5% when you have the rest to play with? It doesn't make sense at all. So we see here, this is, most of you are national, some are international. And to be Norwegian, I think global, it's not our DNA, because we kind of like to think small. Okay, we'll do the next one. What is Europe's largest drone market? Don't think too long, just to put in what you comes up in mind. I think so far these 2 days we have seen very little data on the actual market. We've seen a lot about technology, but very little data on the actual market. Okay. So Germany is coming up as Europe's largest. Norway seems to be, yeah, but Germany is there. And as far as I can tell, you're doing this based on your stomach feeling. You don't have any data supporting this at all. You look at the outside market. What do we think about Germany? There are 85 million people living there, so that must be the largest market. And 11 of the 62 now thinks Norway is largest, even almost as large as the UK. Do we know that? Do we know if that's true or not? So rank your focus markets. So what are your focus markets as a company, as a research organization, as a speaker, as everybody has some focus markets. Come on, bring them up. So without affecting what you're saying, just bear in mind that Norway is 2.5% of the European market. So if your focus market is 2.5%, you're in a niche part of the market. And then you can segment the Norwegian market. So we see Norway is by far the largest. Then it's the Nordic region, EU, and the US. It's a very small part of that. Okay, we'll go to the other one. What is your focus? So while you're doing this, I'll tell you a story. In our industry, the issue is that we are too good in telling how good we are. And we are too bad in understanding the customer and what their needs are. And if I tell the customer that I'm very good, the customer actually believes that. So when I'm delivering something that's almost very good, he gets disappointed. And that is an issue we have in our industry. We need to be able to tell a frank story, and we need to be able to deliver on what we are saying. So a lot of people are doing everything for a customer. And some are only doing paid work. It's like half-half, middle. And this is our growing pain. So how do we manage? This year we have grown 3 times. Next year our budget is growing 2 or 3 times. Let's see. But that's part of our pain. So how much do we listen to the customer? How demanding are we to the customer? And how much do we expect the customer to pay us? Do everybody get market price for the work? That's a tough one. And you see the R&D is a big part there. The R&D is a big part. It's very hard to generate revenues from R&D. That's like the technology that we're going to use in 3 years' time. That is the R&D today. We can't base a company on that. Our employees, they want to have a salary every month, so we need to invoice every month. Okay, so what has an impact and how big effort? So how much effort does it take to go into the big market? How much effort does it take to have a framework contract, to stay with the customer for a long time and not just go in and out? And how much are we willing to invest in that? Just go on and put in your numbers. So the impact side is, well, you can see it here. You're so slow. It's only 7 not answered. So to do a deep market analysis is an interesting one. Because we started off with asking you guys about what your stomach feeling says about the market. But that's another thing. Following the operation manual, that seems to have a big impact. It definitely has. And a demo for a potential big client has now a bigger impact than working with governmental offices. But still, the market analytics has got its lowest impact. That's interesting. Okay, so if you switch again, I'll go back to the presentation. So what we do for EMSA, European Maritime Safety Agency, is we do emission monitoring. Emission monitoring seems to be a niche thing, but it's actually something that they are paying for. We have a 40 million euro framework contract to do emission monitoring, and that's based on a UN demand. And we do that with these 2 assets, so a Skeldar V200 and a Schiebel Camcopter S100. Both of them with a sniffer. And we don't sniff. we do edge processing. So we use the input from the sniffer, and based on that, we calculate back what the fuel, what the sulfur level in the fuel was before it was used. So it's not a plain sniffing; it's a calculation. Okay, so I'll show you a video.
That was Lara. Now, one often unseen cause of air pollution is shipping. The enormous cargo vessels which crisscross the world produce enormous amounts of sulfur and nitrous oxides, as well as particulate matter. By some calculations, one large container ship can produce the equivalent of tens of millions of cars worth of these pollutants. But it's a field where much more measurement is needed to truly understand the scale of the problem and what can be done.
Paul Carter has been to Denmark to investigate how authorities there are using tech to better understand shipping and the pollution it causes.
This sleepy, remote part of Denmark may not look like it's at the cutting edge of emissions detection and enforcement. But looks can be deceiving. The Danish Maritime Authority, in partnership with the European Maritime Safety Agency, are using drones like this one as the latest weapon to detect and identify ships that are breaching EU regulations on emissions. This aircraft is equipped with a range of detectors and sensors, as well as 360 and infrared cameras to identify ships and effectively sniff their emissions by flying through the plume of smoke they leave behind.
I'm stood in the takeoff and landing zone for the drone that they use here, or RPAS to actually give it its correct term. It's out behind me somewhere, finding a ship to sniff, for want of a better term. And I'm not sure if our camera can actually pick it up, but along the horizon there's a yellow band, which is actually the pollution that you can see that these ships are emitting. And if you can imagine what it was like before these regulations came in, and that's exactly what this aircraft is trying to detect.
So this is a very innovative project to protect the environment. How does it work? What we try to do is to take as many measurements as possible of the sulfur content of the plume of the vessels. And this type of drone is adding a proof of their infringement. Because up to now, what happened sometimes is that they were changing fuel just when entering the port. So this type of drone allows us to also take measurements while they sail.
Now it's going to be coming back into land soon, and to be honest, I don't really want to be stood here when it does, so I'm going to make a sharp exit.
It's piloted by two people from a ground-based control centre, one flying and one monitoring the payload, as well as a team of ground-based engineers and observers.
What's it like to fly one of these?
It's quite good fun. It's different. I used to fly helicopters, so it's very different from in that perspective, but is in many ways as well. There's many similarity. The drones react the same way as a helicopter would do, so then I can use my experience as a helicopter pilot in this type of industry, and it's nice to be able to do something for the environment as well. We can see the one is polluting a lot, and then you can see the black smoke, but most of the time you don't see it, also because of the wind pushing it down or pushing it sideways. You might not be able to see it. But we have also an extra tool like a IR camera to be able to see it. It might help us sometimes as well. So we have a sensor which monitor the CO2 and the NO2, and we also have the payload camera which you use to be able to see where you're going.
The RPAS, or Remotely Piloted Aircraft System, is detecting for a range of pollutants. All the data recorded during each flight is shared directly with the host member state and also with EMSA.
Basically now we can extend our reach by a huge margin by flying these drones over the ships, collecting samples of the emissions, and then calculate back to how much sulfur is in the fuel. Are they breaking the rules or are they not? Then we can follow that up with actual inspections on board when the ship comes into port.
And here it comes now. It's just coming into land. You can see it swooping round slightly just to accommodate for the wind. It's quite bizarre to think that, you know, even just a couple of minutes ago that was a speck out there on the horizon. It's been out there for the last hour and a half, inspecting any ships that it's come across, and now it's coming back into land for a well-earned rest.
We are sort of first movers with this type of technology used in this way, but as it gets easier, as the regulation behind it matures, then I think that we will see this all over the place. And it's not just for sulfur emissions. So you could monitor many things and see, because that's really what we're trying to do. We're trying to extend our reach. Where can we go and enforce the rules that we are trying to enforce?
So we also do lightweight APA support for EU, and I'll jump this one. And why do we use drones? Because we are solving a problem. We're solving a real problem, and the problem is not always obvious. It's not always the obvious problem. So are we focused on environmental data because the user wants it? Yes. And the user has to define what we are doing. This is from another job we did. We supported the French authorities for 20 days when a ship sank in the Bay of Biscay. And it's all about data. We are in the business of selling data. We sell data. We collect data that the customer defines that we want to collect. Reality is that the customer do not care about the drone. They want something to be safe, and we can define that in our contract and other ways. But in the end of the day, they pay us for data. We are a data collector, and we sell data. And to collect data, it's easy. But to distribute data, to analyze it, and to make all the stakeholders agree on the data, and the fact that you can actually use the data, that's the tough part. And that's part of our industry challenge. And call us. So the only way we have managed these contracts is together with partners. So we have partners in Norse. It was Nordic back then, and now they are Norse. They are a partner in the contract. We have a subcontractor in Trondheim called Radio Nord Communications. And we have a subcontractor in Denmark. But the only way we have succeeded is through close cooperation with other parts of the industries, other people with a niche interest and are very good at what they are doing. And to scale this industry and our business and your business, we need to think together. And we need to think together not on research programs, but on real issues, real problems that could be solved, and real money that could be earned. And that is the future for Nordic Unmanned when we go further. Okay? Questions? Am I allowed to do questions? So when we sniff, the drone is online with the EU data center that provides the total situation awareness image for EU. So the member state can sit and watch live when we're doing this. So the time it takes from we fly into the vessel until it's detected or not, it's around 30 seconds. And you need to follow the vessel in the same speed as the vessel is sailing. So to use a fixed wing doesn't really work. You need to have a rotary wing. To do a sensor integration on a manned rotary wing is extremely expensive when you compare it with a UAV. So in reality, it's obviously an investment from the EU Commission. They are very lean forward. They have a 5-year program of supporting and buying UAV services, a 90 million euro program. And it takes a lot of investment to get there, because we can't have a budget for 1 year. We need to see there is a longer budget for it. But the value we are bringing, as the Danish authorities are saying, is very high. Because what is the value for a nation state to reduce the emission? And we need to show the shipping industry that we have a true tool to actually catch them. It's like a breathalyzer. The breathalyzer has the biggest effect that people don't drink and drive. That is the biggest effect, because we trust the technology.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.